So I'm back talking about conditioning, and this time I want to talk about classical conditioning. And one of the things that I often do when I'm going to talk about a topic, especially a topic as common as conditioning, is I look up to see what's been written on the topic and what people have been talking about with regards to that topic. So I looked at what people have talked about with regards to classical conditioning in video games, read a couple of articles, and realized that it's being confused with operant conditioning in pretty much all of the articles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through Moonlighter to find instances of both classical and operant conditioning and talk about the differences between the two and also the similarities between the two. I've selected Moonlighter because I've played it before. I am almost certain that there are examples of classical conditioning within Moonlighter. If you're interested in seeing Moonlighter gameplay with less psychology spoken over it and probably better skill, you can also check out the video that I'm going to put in a card here for my boy Red Fighter 3. Red Fighter 3 has been my boy forever. I know he's a man, but whatever. He's been my boy since he was born because he's my nephew. So I'm going to call him my boy. Going to put a card up here for you to check out his recent video about conditioning. And hello, No On My, I am so glad you're ready to be conditioned. Me too. And hopefully we can find some examples of classical conditioning in here so we can contrast them with the examples of operant conditioning that I know are already here. So I don't have a New Game Plus because I haven't beat it here. Let's do the hard difficulty because that seems to be the right thing to do. I think when we first start we have some story elements. Seems about right for games. Among the stars of the night, there is a land as old as imagination. One night, mazes full of extraordinary treasures and deadly creatures appeared in this land. They called them the dungeons, strange, ever-changing ruins of unknown lands. Soon a village of the slightly curious took root near the dungeons. They named this Ryanoka. Among the settlers, two groups shined brightest, heroes and merches, glory and riches. But the dungeons proved too dangerous. They were soon closed as too many lives were lost in their depths. Life became hard for the town, especially for the young owner of the oldest shop, Will of Moonlighter. Long dreams of opening the mysterious fifth door of the dungeons. Pardon me as I take a sip of something as we wait. I am now Will of Moonlighter, wandering through the dungeons. Trying to remember all of my moves. I can't seem to do anything. I have literally nothing I can do right now. Okay. Well, then, oh, I can break things. Let's run into things and break them. Excellent. So I'm just gonna re-get some of the... I don't have any weapons. I'm just following an arrow here. Right? I am used to being reinforced for following arrows. If you want some more information about reinforcement and punishment, you can check out my video on Hades and operant conditioning. I will put a card to that if I remember here. And I just learned how to roll because I looked up at the top of the screen. At the top of this page, I think. I don't even think it's at the top of my screen. I think it is literally in that room. Oh, and all the rooms are teaching me how to roll. You think I would have noticed that? Look at that. I'm learning how to roll. I just had to go and check that. Rolling around a lot. Excellent. I can roll over ones and twos. I can roll into this guy. Ouch. I died. I'm so good I can die in the tutorial. That's how good I am. Whoopsie. Whoopsie daisy. Roll. Excellent. Apparently I am also so gentle. Ooh, I finally got my ability to hit things. That's what I was looking for, because I have learned from other video games that I am reinforced from breaking pots, so I'm going to break all the pots. That is, in most video games I've played, and I am a somewhat experienced video game player, when you break a pot, something good comes out of them. And so now, I feel the need to break all the pots. RT does what? It drinks my potions. Okay. I don't want to drink a potion yet because I don't need it because I haven't hit anything except for the one thing that insta-killed me. And so I don't need to drink the insta-kill things. And now my treasure chest has opened. When I go to the treasure chest, I can open it and take all the things. And so LB will quick move everything. I've got some golden rupees and some hardened steel. I'm going to want these things. My experiences tell me I'm going to want these things. Now, imagine I didn't have such experiences. I would look at these things. I would probably take them anyway, but look, I just took a broken sword. In our day-to-day lives, we don't tend to want broken things. And so, daisy. We might actually have existing associations that make us not take that, at least at first, because it looks broken. Ow. Listen, you guys. Drink the potions. You said people gonna die? I don't think I'm allowed to die. I'm just going to die. Like, this room is going to murder me. There's no getting around this, is there? I think there's no getting around to the death in this room. All my stuff exploded. Yes, okay. Definitely gonna die in this room. Definitely lost all my stuff and got spit out. That is the end of the tutorial. Yeah, no, I tried. I tried really hard to not die there, but apparently you just have no choice but to be dead there. What a sorry-looking kid. All alone now. Rest for a bit, Will. I have you now. Thanks, old man. So now we're loading back up. So I've talked a little bit about operant conditioning here. In this video. I'll get into more details on it after we are done with all of our story and exposition and tutorialing, because it's hard to get into the psychology of it when we're tutorialing. Even as a mere child, barely able to walk, you were curious of the dungeons. But as I mentioned previously, watching that first video on operant conditioning is going to make this video make more sense. You can watch this as a standalone, but it will make this make more sense. There is no doubt you carry the same obsession as old Pete. Oh, I'm waking up. I'm waking up. Morning, boy. Did our little merchant bite off more than he could manage? Yeah, I probably did. Will, listen to me. The hard truth is this. You are the last of your family, the only one left to run Moonlighter. You can't keep pushing yourself like this. Risking your life on this fifth door nonsense is foolish. Just leave it. Find some artifacts, then use your pendant to get out of the dungeon. And for Crater's sake, stop using that broom of yours, you daft boy. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Haha, love it. It's mine from back in the day. Use it. I have little need for it now. There we go. Now I have a proper weapon. I will do more damage now. Now then, get up. You are wasting light. Can't have you neglect the shop all day. Let's see if I can get through your hard head some of the tricks that I picked up from your grandfather so many, many years ago. Alright, let's get up. I'm gonna look at my stuff. Look, I have treasure chests too. Treasure chest for me that I can't open yet. Okay. But I want the treasure chest. Successfully selling your merchandise takes knowledge of two things. You must know an item's value, as well as its demand. Come now, open the shop up and allow the customers in. But I wanna... Apparently I have nothing to place. Let's just do what he says. Oh, nope, can't sell there. Open the shop up. There we go. Hold A to open up the shop. Pew! Opened the shop up. Now that person's gonna come in and be like, oh, look at that, look at that. This thing is so sparkly. Yay, I'm excited about the sparkly thing. Okay, I will sell it to you. Did you see that? The best expression you could hope for. The item wasn't too expensive for them, and not so cheap for you to lose profit. Be sure to pay attention to your customers' expressions. That's how your grandfather always knew if his prices were fair. So now the other one's really expensive. That's 170. I think that's a mistake. We're gonna make this one angry. Urgh. I don't think I need to tell you how that item was obviously overpriced. No, you don't. Lesson learned? Yeah. Finally, be careful of selling a popular item too much. If you flood the market, you will have to offer cheaper prices on your wares. Point is, charging higher when something is high demand and in low supply. Take out your merchant notebook. It should hold all the information you have gathered on discovered wares and artifacts. Now let's bust this bad boy out. What do you expect me to do? You expect me to hit RT and to see, look, I know things about crystallized energy. Now I can press Y and put it away. Would seem the sun has fallen for the day. I best head off. You will pick up more on your own. Restoring this shop to its fullest glory, that responsibility falls to you, not I. It's in your blood, Will. Make us proud. In the meantime, why don't you try out that new sword of yours? Dungeons are more perilous at night, but one can always find better artifacts. Just don't dive too far, and use that pendant, boy! Now I know I have a magic pendant. Yes, I will use the pendant. Go on now. These weary bones of mine must rest. So I have that equipped now? Yes? Yes? RB quick equips. No, nope, I just unequipped it. Put that back on. Oh, I want to go put my... No, you're not going to let me put my stuff away? Okay. There we go. Now I'm using the sword. Excellent. Alright. I think he's still going to talk at me a little bit more before I go into this dungeon. No? Read the sign. Golem dungeon. Available to merchants and heroes. Okay, excellent. So now we're going to go into this slimy dungeon. And now I can talk about classical and operant conditioning. So in the video on Hades, which you may or may not have watched, we talk about operant conditioning. And operant conditioning is the type of learning that we do when we learn by the consequences of our action. So I do a thing and either something good happens after it or something desirable happens after it or something undesirable happens after it. And that changes whether or not I'm going to do that thing again. That's the type of conditioning we talk about in there. I go into details about what we call each of those things and how it works, but that's the basic idea of operant conditioning. Operant conditioning also has to do with voluntary behaviors, the sorts of things that we can choose whether or not we're going to engage in, and that we tend to consciously choose whether or not we're going to engage in these behaviors. And so in operant conditioning, we're more thinking in operant conditioning. In this video, I want to talk about classical conditioning. Classical conditioning, if you've ever heard reference to Pavlov's dogs, then you've heard reference to classical conditioning. Red Fighter is giving me a suggestion that I should put the potions that are in my bag into the potion pocket, but I don't know how to open my bag. I'm pressing Y, which seems like it should be opening my bag, and it's not. To a person of hopefully far better luck than I, my time is short. I took injury from the strange creature across the room. My pendant all but shattered from the scuffle. Check him out, though. I'd say I fared better than he. He caught me spying on him near the Guardian's room. He dropped a couple of items when he fled. One of which is this map? Diagram? Whatever it is, I was right. They called me crazy, said old Crazy Pete done gone lost his marbles. But I was right. Each guardian of a dungeon must possess a key of sorts, all of them linked to that giant locked door outside the dungeons. The 5th door of Rhinoka. Sadly, I won't be around to see the door open. To whoever found me, I apologize for the smell. But the diagram should be around here somewhere. Please, open the 5th door of Rhinoka. These dungeons are not what they seem. Isn't Crazy Pete like my dad or something? Big boss gonna kill me. I supposed to let them all out. Now I have to chase this weird creature that stole my stuffs. Ah, Big Boss gonna be so upset with little me. Okay, cool diagram. Thank you. Whoa. So, B allows for money, or my bag, and then when my bag gets full, go home, is I think what these pictures are trying to tell me. So does that mean I can press B? It's pulsing. Oh, that's my pendant. Is my pendant telling me to go home? That's what I think it is, but I want to open my backpack. So yeah, I guess that's my pendant telling me I have no choice but to go home. Is that all I was allowed to do this run? I went the right way by accident? Is I think what just happened? My bag is jumping too, but I can't seem to do that. I can't seem to do that. Yeah, I think I have no choice but to hold down B and go home, like it told me. Yes, I escaped with my pendant. I killed some things. Go to town. Let's go back to town, and now it is... Plop. I plopped out of... Oh, and the old man's coming to talk to me. I see. Yeah, look, see, I was smart and used my pendant. Ah, the young proprietor of Moonlighter has returned. You look intact. Finally learned to use that pendant properly? It's about time, boy. What are you holding? Is that a chart of the dungeons? Where did you get this? You found old Pete? Oh dear. Dead. See? This is what happens when you chase what's behind that door. Leave it, Will. Just get the artifacts you need from the Golem dungeon and look after Moonlighter. Now, I noticed some posts on the town board that might interest you. Some shops want to move in, attempt to revitalize this town. Apparently, they need some startup capital first. Would be nice to see some new life in Rhinoka. Nice indeed. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, you should give other people money. Go check out this town board because there's an exclamation point there. And you play lots of video games before and you know that when there's exclamation points, something good is going to happen. So I can invest in town and spend money I don't have. Or I can invest in my shop and I assume spend money I don't have. Yeah, look at all that money I don't have. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Don't have money for either of you or any of us. We gotta go sell things at the store. And I can talk to people too. There's people I can chat with. Nope, haven't seen your son. Don't know where he is. Don't know where he's hiding. I don't remember if there's a benefit to talking to people. Yeah. Again, it's the sort of thing that talking to people is the sort of thing that is inconsistently reinforced. And so I don't know if this is the sort of thing that we need to do or that we don't need to do. So I'm not going to do too much of it during this playthrough. So again, that's all operant conditioning being reinforced for a voluntary behavior. Going to learn now how to set the price on this because we knew it was too much. Let's try a little bit more than the last time. Whoopsie. So, a voluntary behavior that I can engage in. And so now what we're going to do is try pricing and selling things that I don't know how much they're worth. Let's place one of these here and place one of these here. We're going to do one of each for now and try pricing them and see what happens. See what sort of consequence we experience when we sell things for various prices, because we can learn on the basis of our consequences. So let's just start with 30 for each of them. Oh, put that there. And see what that does. So we're going to learn based on our consequences. Can I open the shop at night? I don't think I can. I can't. No, if I can't open the shop at night, can I put things in my... Oh, look. Read. Yep, that's where that is. Okay. So I can go back into the dungeons then. Okay, so now I've got this open. I think everything is in my potions. My potions pouch, isn't it? Oops. Learning all the things. Shouldn't it be daytime? I don't really feel the need to sleep, so I'm gonna go back in the dungeons until it's daytime. That seems like the thing to do. Hi, Rishi 1. I can check the book to get the ranges. I know I can check the book to get... Oh, to get you say to get ranges of each. Hey, look at that. To get ranges of each. But I've never sold any of those. This is legit the first time I'm going through. So this is just all I've got. Oh, I see, but they've showed up in my book now, so I can get an idea that those ones are pretty cheap, it looks like. I see. Thank you, Rishi1. And if I click the item, it will open the book while I'm looking at the item? Okay, when I go back into my shop, I'm going to use that and check that out and then get that idea for pricing. Because I think, if I remember properly, I have played Moonlighter, but it's been a while. If I remember properly, once I go through this dungeon again, it's going to be morning time. And I can then use my time more efficiently to go through this and get more stuff to sell. And that's really what I'm going for. Hey, don't take my stuff. Break the pots. That's something I would like to do, is have maximal stuff for everything. And awesome, thank you, and welcome, Rishi1. Let me know if I'm misreading your name at all, but that's awesome advice, thank you. Nope. Nope out of there. Alright, so then let's talk about classical conditioning then. So operant conditioning had to do with those willing, voluntary behaviors that we might engage in. So what is this classical conditioning? Classical conditioning has to do with reflex type behaviors. Those sorts of things that we do automatically without really thinking about them. The big example that I often give to get people to understand classical conditioning, other than if you've heard of Pavlov's dogs, but Pavlov's dogs are really easy to look up. But if you think about, for example, children being afraid of thunderstorms. Babies are not naturally born afraid of lightning, right? Thunderstorms are not in and of them. Oops, fell down. Drink that. Babies are not born immediately afraid of thunderstorms. And in fact, the lightning in the thunderstorms is actually quite exciting. If you look at baby toys, a lot of baby toys light up and flash, and they do a lot of the things that lightning does. It looks an awful lot like lightning. So why then do we see babies leery of thunderstorms? I'm going to come back to this and read. And oh wait, this is a dead end. No, it's not. Okay, good. I'm going to come back to that and read in just a little bit, because I think that tells me I'm going in the right direction. I don't want to go the right way. Why then do babies become afraid of thunderstorms? We actually have to think about what sorts of fear responses are unlearned. That is, what sort of reflex fears do we have? And one of the unlearned fear responses, in fact, there's some people that posit that we only have, is this telling me that my bag's full? Oh, it's getting close to full. That we only have 2 unlearned fear responses. One of them is to falling, right? And that makes sense if we think about it from an evolutionary perspective and just in general. Nobody wants to fall. And the other is big, loud noises. And give me just 1 second. I'm going to read this book, and then we'll talk about why this matters. Today marks my first steps into this mysterious dungeon. They were discovered not far from Minoka, a small and incredibly charming village just north of the crater. And they are quite a unique occurrence. Any number of adventurers may enter a dungeon at once, but no one will adventure together. These dungeons seem to build themselves around the one entering. A unique maze for each person, never the same labyrinth twice. One must ask, though, if no one is currently inside the dungeon, does it even exist? Now these are questions. Many right now are flooding to these dungeons for their treasure, completely disregarding the inherent danger of the hostile creatures inside. Just for some gold and some fame! But not I. No. It's all about the questions for me. Where did these dungeons come from? Why do they constantly shift and change? And why are they filled with unseen treasures? I'm not here for the what. I'm here for the how and why. Excellent. It's Schrodinger's dungeon. It is both here and not here. I'm not going to go up. This looks scary. I'm not going that way. Because I'm just gathering stuff right now. I'm not really adventuresome. Let's read this too. Why? Why do our tools keep disappearing? Chambers full of precious stones are left untouched, but rooms and chests holding our most basic tools keep vanishing. Bummer. Swim? Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. Going for a swim. It's like going to the spa in Stardew Valley. Oopsie, you look big. Golem warrior. Yeah, no kidding. Excellent. You're a great example. Okay, so well, you're a decent example. So I don't think I want to go up here, do I? This seems like the place to stop. Yeah, I don't think I want to go through that. I think stopping here is a really great idea. Unless, can I heal some more? And so, let's go back to the lightning and the thunder for a second. And why, yeah, I can go through that door then. Why babies become afraid of lightning and thunder. And so, babies are born inherently afraid of falling and of big loud noises. And so let's talk about what happens during a thunderstorm. Oh, something to read. Come on. This is one of the strange devices that creatures dropped when he fled. This one's rich, actually, almost quite literally rich. For every item you place into this device, gold of some perceived value drops out. It's great if you need to use your pendant in a pinch. The device looks like a mirror, so I'm just going to call it the mirror. Keeping it simple. I do wonder, though, where did these treasures dropped inside go? And am I getting the best deal here? So I get a cool mirror now. I don't see it. Oh, there's the mirror down there. You put items in the mirror, they give you money. But I'm just gonna... So I got a cool toy now. Let's leave. Wait, why did it put that in the mirror? It put an item in the mirror when I used my pendant. So I had to pay to leave? Is that what happened there? It looks like that might be what happened there. I had to pay to use my pendant. When am I supposed to use my pendant then? That seemed like... You pay coins to leave, but it could have been... Oh, maybe I didn't have the coins to leave. That's right. Okay. So now what you're telling me is if I stand here by this and press... Or while looking at this, and then press the button to look in my book... Nope, that's not the right button. So, if I do this and press the button to look at my book, no, I'm clearly doing something wrong. If I do this and then press the button, nope, that's not right. Sorry, as I try to figure out what button it is I'm supposed to press to see this item in the book like you're telling me. Is it the right trigger? Aha, it is the right trigger. So this vine is probably worth like 2 gold. So 30 is way too much. Let's sell it for 2 gold. Let's go for 3 because I'm a greedy merchant. Excellent. So then let's right trigger this one. And this hardened steel. Whoa, hardened steel is... I was going to way underprice this one. Let's call this one 275. Thank you so much, Rishi1, for saving me this one. 275. Hi, little Chrissy. By the way, and oh, thank you, little Chrissy, for explaining that I pay coins to leave, because I probably didn't have the coins to... Oh, no, I have the coins to leave. But yeah, I could have had a curse as well. I'm not exactly sure. And this root is just a couple more expensive than the vine. Let's try 10 and see how that goes. Alright, so now we've got some prices to try out and see how they go on each of these. Fantastic. Alright. This is going to be good. And I'm going to pull out anything in this box that matches what I already have in here. And actually, is there anything I don't want to sell? I think I want to save this. This looks like it might be useful eventually. So let's sell some of these. Some more of these. I seem to have a lot of those. some of these. All right. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Let's get some money. Oh, opening the shop is over here. Red Fighter 3 says, the more items you have in one box gives you more money. Yes, I know if I put more than one in there, I'll get more money, but right now I'm just making sure I have them priced properly. And then once I know I have them properly priced, then what I will do is place a whole bunch of them there. Oh, see, like that guy said my stick was too much, so I'm going to quickly drop the price of the stick. From 10 to, put that there, from 10 to 5 maybe. And so that gave me the opportunity to make that adjustment before I sold a whole bunch of sticks at a bad price. And I'm not actually worried about selling a bunch of sticks at a bad price. What did she just buy? She just bought this, right? Yeah. So let's sell a whole bunch of those. So I just want to make sure that I've got things priced appropriately so I can make people happy. What I don't want to accidentally do is sell something for way too little and then not make a good profit off of a whole bunch of things. And yes, I am not sticking it to, and I'm also not sticking it to my customers yet. When I am in here, is time moving while I am in here, I wonder? Oh, water spheres look really valuable. Oh no, really not valuable. This is 110, so let's try these at 75. Sure. No, it's frozen. Excellent. Okay. Freezing time while I'm messing with prices is very kind of them. Oh no, I wouldn't want to take things away before somebody picks them up. Yes, buy a whole bunch of those. Excellent, happy people. Take all the things. Make me money, I can make upgrades now. Fantastic, this is good. Let's see, what else do I want to figure out the pricing for? What is this? Fabric. I don't have a lot of that. Let's not... Oops, wrong button. There's going to be a lot of that as I figure out the buttons here. All right, so while I'm doing this and messing around with prices, let's talk about thunderstorms a little bit. So what happens with thunderstorms is children or babies are naturally afraid of falling in big loud noises. And if you think about what happens in a thunderstorm, a flashy light happens. Babies kind of like flashy lights. In fact, newborns, light and dark is, oh, you thought that was really excellent. See, and I accidentally put more than one there because I wasn't paying attention. So now they're getting a whole bunch of those for a really good amount of money. That was a mistake. Oh well. That's okay. You know what? It's fine. Everything's fine. So what happens is you get a flashy light, and babies love some flashy lights because those flashy lights are something that they can tell the difference between light and dark. They are able to perceive that and to know that it's something interesting. It's something different, but not scary different. So we've got a flashy light. And then we have it followed by a big loud noise. And the babies don't really like the big loud noise. They're naturally afraid of the big loud noise. And if you think about it, it makes sense that they would be afraid of big loud noises. Big loud noises tend to be related to things that are dangerous, to things that can harm them in some way. And so we then have flashy light. What happens during learning is big loud noise, flashy light, flashy light, big loud noise. Baby cries because the big loud noise is upsetting. So then we have flashy light, big loud noise, baby cries because the big loud noise is upsetting. And if you notice, the baby doesn't care one way or the other about the flashy light. It is not the flashy light that the baby cares about. It is the big loud noise. That is the thing that's upsetting. And so, this will help me price the other things. And so, after we get upset, why can't I place this down? There we go. After we get upset about the big loud noise for a while, eventually the baby realizes that oh, they're very excited about that. So let's price this. Sorry, let's price this as 100. After a couple times of getting upset about that big loud noise that comes after the flashy lights, what ends up happening is we end up seeing that the baby starts to get afraid of the flashy light itself. Now the flashy light is a scary thing instead of just the big loud noise. Why? Well, if we think about what happened, the baby has learned that the flashy light predicts the big loud noise. That is, every time I see a flashy light, a big loud noise comes, so I can use the flashy light to predict when the big loud noise is going to happen. And so I know that if flashy light happens, big loud noise is going to happen. I don't want big loud noise to happen, and so I get scared when flashy light happens now as well. That's a classically conditioned response. So if we can kind of intuitively understand that we can learn when one thing predicts another thing, and when the second thing is a reflex response that's being predicted, then we have a basic intuitive understanding of operant conditioning, or of classical conditioning, excuse me. Now we'll notice that there are a few differences between this classical conditioning response and operant conditioning. One of the big ones is the type of behavior that is being conditioned, the type of behavior that is being, or the type of, I guess a way of putting it is stimulus response association and the sorts of behaviors we're seeing. One of the differences is that we have in operant conditioning, we're looking at an operant. We're looking at voluntary behaviors, those things that we can choose whether or not to engage in, and that we then kind of almost can willfully decide, am I going to engage in this operant, yes or no? And that is things like whether or not I'm going to price these, or even how I'm going to price these, or whether or not I'm going to swipe my sword, or whether or not I'm going to break pots. Those are all operants that I can willingly decide, am I going to do this thing? These days are really long. I don't have any weapons for you, man. You're going to have to suck it up. While you're looking for weapons, I'm going to come down here, because I have nothing you want. And in classical conditioning, we're talking about reflexes, right? There's a stimulus response association between some sort of reflex that's happening and then something else that didn't used to produce the reflex now produces the reflex. The other difference is whether the thing that we're most interested in happens before or after the behavior. So if our behavior of interest is a reflex, we're dealing with classical conditioning, and the thing that is being conditioned, like in this case the big loud noise, happens before the reflex behavior, being scared, right? Hearing the sound and then crying and being afraid. All right, I made a good amount of, oh my god, look at all that money I made. Woohoo, money, money, money. Awesome, go me. So now let's place some things on here. Did I sell you? I did. Let's sell some of you. Just getting things set up for the next time I open shop. Oh wait, I need to reprice the whetstone. Right? Is it this one I need to reprice? No. It was this one. Why don't I reprice that one first? Sorry. Had to take a moment. Can't do two reasoning-based tasks like this at the same time because they are both using the same part of my working memory system. Yes, you're right. I think that's a lot until I notice how expensive the upgrades are. But I do believe I can get some upgrades for my shop already. I think there was, or no, some upgrades for the town already. I think there were some that were only 500. Yeah, see, I can get both the Vulcan's Forge and the wooden hat. And I think I want the wooden hat first. I think having a witch would be nice. Yeah, forget you. Your competition, but that looks like a potion. And this looks like new weapons. So I think we're going to get both of these because new weapons and potions sound really good right about now. So let's just get both of these folks hanging out and coming to visit. So again, we have classical conditioning where things are happening. The stimulus is happening before the behavioral response, right? It's predicting. The lightning predicted the thunder. And then operant conditioning where it's happening after. It's a consequence. Have I seen Masa? I didn't talk to you. So it's a consequence of it. I'm being rewarded afterwards. And you wouldn't give the reward before the behavior happens, because if you do that, then why would I ever engage in the behavior? And so imagine, right, that you have a kid and you want the kid to clean their room, and so you give them a donut and then say, okay, now go clean their room. Well, why would they do it? They won't, because you've already given them the donut. Oh, you must be Will, no? This the one who requested my forge? My name's Andre, Forge Master Extraordinaire. If it's weapons or armor you seek, Vulcan's Forge is the place. Excellent. Oh, that's right. I have to decide, like, what types of weapon and armor I'm going to pursue. Jedi is not so good at making decisions, and... Okay, everything's 4,000 too, so we're gonna wait until I make more money. But Jedi's really bad at making decisions, so I'm gonna have to do that. And who are you? Oh, you're not selling me things. And you. Oh, a customer. My apologies, it's just this book. It's so good. Ah, a kindred spirit. Oh, yes. I'm Eris Weaver. Eris Weaver and Potion Master. Come to the Wooden Hat when you need a potion or enchantment. What do you want to craft today? You, on the other hand, I can afford a little bit in terms of making some potions. I apparently can't make this. Why, I wonder? I don't know, but I can make a few of these, and that's good. Let's make a couple... Actually, let's make all of these that I can, because I don't want to die. Make me some potions, please. Thank you. Put those over there. Excellent. Potions it is. Great. Now we'll go fighting. So then, let's talk about classical conditioning as it occurs in video games. And why it is that I came to Moonlighter to talk about classical conditioning. It actually probably would have been better if I went to a game like Dark Souls, but I don't play Dark Souls, and I would have had to constantly be in a boss battle in a game that I don't play, and that would have been, well, near impossible for me to achieve. So I needed a game that I could... Hey, what? Why am I not using my sword? That I could play. Stop it! I am doing a very bad job. Stop, 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 stop. I fell down. Get off of me! Wow, that was really bad. Ooh, an ice cube. Excellent. Alright, let's try to do a better job here. Yes, yes, Cloudcraft, I know. Clearly the solution is for me to get good. But here's the thing, actually. How we get good is to engage, or is to use classical conditioning to our benefit. So, if you watch, for example, these floating golem dudes, right before they attack, they do something. And for the example of these floating golem dudes, fell down, that something is somewhat obvious. You can see them, let's see if I can get one of them to attack me. You can see them kind of lift their sword a little bit. And so it's a little bit obvious, and it's a better example of classical conditioning in video games if that thing is not at all obvious. But I'm going to take what I can get, because I have not yet gotten good at Dark Souls. And yes, thank you for the lead in there. I did not yet get good at Dark Souls, so I did debate whether or not I wanted to try it. And then I remembered that Dark Souls is on my Switch, and I can't stream from my Switch anyway, so So, oh, why did I fall down that hole, by the way? Because I saw something sparkly. And I happen to know that sparkly things led to rewards if you fall down holes. So, instead, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at what predicts, because remember, classical conditioning is all about predictions. What predicts getting hit? Oh, so I was attacked by a moving rock today. Can you imagine? A rock that moves? I did what any sensible person would do in this situation and smacked it right back. It shattered upon the ground, leaving behind a stone heart. A core, as we have come to call it. It's one of the many unique treasures that can only be found in the dungeon, dropped by a guard unique only to this dungeon. I have to say, each of these dungeons have a very peculiar environment. A culture all its own. Let's heal, by the way. So when we see those sorts of subtle moves or subtle changes that let us know that an attack is about to happen, if you do get good at a game like this, you will actually find yourself dodging or attacking or responding by falling off of things, or responding before you've even registered that has happened, before you even really notice or know why it is you're engaging in a given behavior. And the more fast-paced the game is, the more that happens. And this is happening by means of classical conditioning. So let's think about what that association looks like. First, the reflex response. I die and I'm unhappy. Or I get hit and I'm unhappy. That's a reflex response. If it was happening in real life, it's I hit and it hurts. But this is not real life. So when we're playing a game, it's I hit and I'm unhappy. Or I get hit and I'm unhappy. Why is this still locked? Oh, because you're a mimic, that's why. Of course you are. I am out of... Oh, good. I was out of potions. But now I'm not. So in real life, it's I hit and I get hurt. But in this game, it's I hit and I'm unhappy. I don't want to get hit. That's the reflex response. And just like in operant conditioning, we always identify that behavior of interest first, that operant first. Here we're going to identify the reflex response first. So, get hit, unhappy. Then we start looking at, okay, what predicts the reflex response? Well, the thing that predicts the reflex response is that subtle animation. Now, in some games, and in fact, in easier games, the animation is less subtle. You go from predicting, from it being a subtle tell, to it being telegraphing, right? And when it telegraphs really in a non-subtle way, then it doesn't rely as much on classical conditioning as it does on just logic, right, and reasoning. So it really is when it's subtle that it is relying more on classical conditioning than anything else. The more subtle, the more classical conditioning has to happen. So if you think about there's a battle in Dark Souls, because I have not played Dark Souls, but I have watched some Dark Souls, because my husband has played, and I like watching him die in Dark Souls. Yeah, I know, I'm a bad person. And this combat has it too, so I'm going to see. You see him rev up a little bit there. But again, it's a little bit more telegraphing. It is a little bit obvious when that sort of thing is happening that your bad guy is about to do something horrible to you. Alright. So I've cleared. Is it now free to use my pendant, by the way? Is this the room where it's free? No, it costs 200. Oh, but if I go up, it's going to cost me more at the next level, isn't it? To use this pendant than it does on this level. I bet you it's more expensive up there than it is down here. Because that would make a lot of sense. So I'm not going to go up there because I don't think I'm going to get anything valuable up there. I'm just going to leave. So that guy was more telegraphing. But classical conditioning still does happen. It's just not as good of an example. But let's talk about it there. Let's talk about the smaller golems because they actually were a better example. Those smaller guardians, when they were getting ready to attack, they lifted up their swords slightly. And it wasn't immediately obvious. It was slight, and that's important. The slightness of it matters. Actually, let's take everything in here and then return stuff. The slightness of it and how it was relatively hard to see really does matter in terms of classical conditioning. It matters because we have our reflex response, get hit, be unhappy because I lost HP. And then we have the thing that predicts it, the lifting of the sword. and it has to be repeatedly paired before I really get good, right? And I was going to talk about the particular battle in Dark Souls that, from my understanding, is fairly notorious when it comes to having to repeat it over and over again. It has what are the names of the dudes? The big large guy and then the tiny fast guy. There's a big large guy and a tiny fast guy that are ridiculously annoying. Who are the big large guy and the tiny fast guy? But yeah, if you would look up the name of the big large guy, I have Papa Bear here. Oh, wait, Cloudcraft's got it forward. Ornstein and Smaug, or Smog. And Ornstein is the tiny fast one, the little pains in the butt, right? I don't remember what I was pricing this for. Let's make it 169, I guess. Is that a decent price? 150. Yeah, sure. Let's leave it at that. Ornstein and Smog. A lot of people have to do that fight a ridiculous number of times because it is hard, and what you're looking for are very subtle telegraphs of what is about to happen and how hit you're about to get. And so in that fight, what you're really doing when you do this fight over and over again are two things. One, you might be hoping to get lucky, and that's a perfectly reasonable thing to be doing. But also, two, you're learning those telegraphs, and you may not even consciously be realizing you're doing it. Someone who has played this game repeatedly may not be able to tell you what exactly it is that they're noticing that allows them to respond so quickly. That is, classical conditioning, and even operant conditioning, they don't have to be done at the level of consciousness. They don't have to be the sort of thing that we're actively aware of what we're doing or what we've learned or how we know what we know or why we behave the way that we behave when we're doing it. But they still allow us to engage in those reactions. This is true of operant conditioning, but it is even more true of classical conditioning. Of that type of conditioning that is involved in reflex reactions. And that makes sense, right? If we have reflex reactions, that we may not notice what is triggering that reflex. And so Ornstein and Smaug is a good example, but also fighting those particular guardians in the smaller guardians, the ones that float, that I think gave me the very valuable these right here. I think I got these from those nice floaty guardians, those spheres. I'm not certain, but I think that's where those came from. And that then leads to reward, right? I want to kill those because I get rewards for doing so. And there's the operant conditioning. Classical and operant conditioning don't tend to happen in a vacuum from each other. And Cloudcraft is telling me that actually in that fight, their telegraphs are a lot more obvious than typical bosses to compensate for the fact that there are two of them. And that may be true, that the telegraphs are obvious, but because you are focusing on two of them, you're less likely to notice them, was my understanding of it. Less likely to be able to see them, because they're happening beyond conscious awareness. But I could be wrong. I could be, well, then let's use any other, we can use any other Dark Souls boss, because the fact of the matter is what it means to get good in a game like that is to repeatedly die until you can respond without having to think or without having to really know why you're responding in that way. Right? That's when you tell somebody to get good, what you're really telling them is to practice until they can respond by reflex. And Cloudcraft, yes, you're right. That is sometimes because you literally can't see Ornstein because he's behind Smaug or Smog. I don't know how to say his name. Is it Smaug, like the dragon in Lord of the Rings? But yeah, that is a part of getting good in a game like that. It's not entirely, I agree. And I'm down with that. But it is a part of getting good, is being able to respond by reflex. And the more you think of when you're playing a game like that, or when you're engaging in that sort of play, the worse you are. If you think about it in terms of sports, the more you think the worse you are as well. You're learning to react without having to think about what you're doing when you react. And you hear that a lot from sports players. Stop that. That if you have to think when you're on the field, or if you have to think when you're playing, you're actually not going to stop it. You're not going to do as well. And that's part of what you're doing, is you're ending up with a classically conditioned response that allows you to engage in the behavior, to do what you need to do without having to sit around and think about why it is you're doing what you're doing. And the same thing can occur in this game in terms of responding in the dungeons in order to not get hit. And it requires repeated associations. You're not going to learn it on the first shot. That's why dying over and over again is a part of this type of experience. Oh, come on. Fine. Is that a reasonable price? Let's try it. I don't want to sell these for too much. So that's the basic concept. And again, a lot of people tend to understand the basic concepts of classical and operant conditioning. And the thing that... too much. The thing that trips students up and that trips folks up who want to fully understand classical and operant conditioning isn't the basic idea of what is happening, but rather the vocabulary of it and fully understanding the nuance of it. And so that's something that I want to talk about, but I actually am coming up on, I think I've been streaming or talking about this in this video for almost an hour, probably about 45 minutes now. So what I'm going to do is, after this shop closes, I'll stop talking about that. Now that we have the basic concepts down and have talked about how it presents in the game, I'll stop the video. So I'm going to finish out the shopping and then stop the video, and then I'll go into what the language of classical and operant conditioning are, and how we would use that language in specific examples within this game itself. Oh, because people aren't as interested in that now because I accidentally overpriced it. Got it. I wonder when that's gonna undo itself. Oh well. Does that undo itself? I hope so. And Cloudcraft wrote out that they had a lot of frustration understanding conditioning in school with a teacher who didn't understand beyond the basics and therefore had to teach it themselves. Well, then I am hopefully here to help a little bit with that. One of the reasons that this video is comparing classical and operant conditioning rather than just talking about classical conditioning is I do a little bit of background research on what people are already talking about on a given topic before I do a video. And I checked out the topic of what people were talking about in terms of the application of classical conditioning in video games, and realized that they were talking about it incorrectly. Whoa, this is worth a lot. That it was being talked about incorrectly or inaccurately. Let's start by overpricing it, I guess. See how that goes. And wanted to correct some things. So actually, if this is not the end of the day, I'll talk about then what inaccuracies I saw when I was reading about this. And a lot of what I saw when I was reading articles that were written specifically for gaming in audiences about this topic was that folks would start off talking about Pavlov's dogs and talking about classical conditioning and that sort of association. But then they would give examples that were operant conditioning. They would start talking about how the game rewards you for engaging in certain behaviors and reinforces those behaviors to increase their frequency. And that is a common error, where you start off talking about the predictive value of something, and that's classical conditioning, but then suddenly you slide into talking about operant conditioning. And so I hope by giving examples in the next video that I will be able to gave folks a better understanding of how those two are different. And I'm going to give examples of both classical and operant conditioning as they play a role in this game. But for now, I'm going to stop this video so that I can split it up into 2 parts. And so if you're interested in seeing more, I will link the other video once it is released up in the top corner, one of the 2 sides. And stay tuned for those of you in the chat, because I'm going to continue playing Moonlighter and talking about this topic.